one.
More news surrounding the Charlotte Hornets off of the court. This time it pertains to LaMelo Ball. We'll get to that all today with Nada Edwards on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free and available anywhere you get your podcast, and that includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson, as always. You can find him on his substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. And a subtext. Are you texting people again, Doug?
I am. I'm subbing everywhere. I had to take a breather. I mean, we do this show every day, and so that you're getting some Hornets content from me, but all of the other octopus arms I have on the Hornets universe, I had to just take a breather, but I'm back on subtext. I'll be back on Substack pretty soon too. So check me out.
All right, and there's Nada Edwards joining us, friend, family member of the show. Find him on Twitter at Nada the Scribe. He is the producer of the best college basketball podcast out there, Ion College Basketball. What do you have going on right now with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander? How busy are you?
Not very busy, which is why I'm able to do multiple shows this week.
Yeah, I was wondering why you're on here. Yeah, a lot.
That's why I asked you. Yes, you're going to be on. By the way, I saw that you have the Songs in the Key of Life album in the background.
Yeah.
My vinyl brother. There we go. Yeah, we get to see it, although I don't know if yes, there we go. Right there.
Right
Boom,
there.
baby.
Right there.
Maybe we can get to some album rankings a little bit later on in the show with you joining
Perhaps.
us twice. You know, we got some interesting news to talk about here. Just because it's the Charlotte Hornets, we got some more off-the-court stuff to discuss. This time it surrounds LaMelo Ball. So as reported by Joe Bruno of WSOC yesterday, here's the write-up. A mother is suing Charlotte Hornets star LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets. Ms. McCrae says last October 7th, I think her name is Tamara or Tamaria, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. McCrae says last October 7th, after a Charlotte Hornets event, fans were outside the arena going up to players as they left. Angel Joseph was 11 at the time, now he's 12, was running up to LaMelo for an autograph. She says that Ball did not sign anything, and then he drove off. She also says, quote, I just saw my son kind of go down, and I thought maybe he had dropped something. But she says Angel had not dropped anything, but that LaMelo Ball had driven over his foot while also breaking it. The complaint says it happened when he was driving out of the employee entrance and driving out onto North Caldwell Street. As soon as he turned right, he stopped immediately at that intersection because of a red light. Now, just to be clear, we're moving on from we'll call her Ms. McCrae because I don't know how to pronounce her first name.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving on from Ms. McCrae's alleged incident, and now we're actually going to the complaint, right? Like this is actually in the complaint that's filed. Yeah. So as soon as LaMelo turns right, he stops immediately at that intersection because of a red light coming out on a North Caldwell Street. Once he was stopped at the red light, a group of kids run out there to get an autograph. Then when the light turned green, allegedly, he drove off in what was described as, quote, grossly negligent. Plaintiff also described LaMelo as, quote, looking directly into the kid's face, end quote. I got a lot of thoughts on it. Not, but you're the guest. And as we've seen with David quite a bit, he has to join us with all the Miles Bridges stuff that's not so pleasant to talk about. So now you're going to be our honorary LaMelo Ball representative to talk about the tough stuff off of the court. What do you see? What do you think of when you see the alleged incident take place here and the civil suit filed against LaMelo Ball?
First things first, I think we blame, instead of sitting with this, and I get that social media has made this a thing where we initially just react and everyone wants to give a take. Something like this, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of subtext. This is a very complex onion. And for me, the first thought I had was, this is the last thing the Hornets needed, which it kind of is. At the same point, there's a lot of this that I don't feel comfortable making a judgment on, if I'm really honest. And shout out to Adam Hicks, who was there, who was very quickly like, hey, this is a little bit more complicated than you may think. based on everything.
And not to stop you, Nada, but that tweet I have here, Adam said on Twitter, a friend of the show, WFNZ, and also Locked On Hornets, said, I was there with my kids that day. Arena staff barricaded the sidewalks and stopped traffic so Melo can get a running start in the parking garage and doesn't have to stop. Brandon Miller made a rookie mistake and stopped to sign stuff. He got mobbed. Kids running into traffic. Again, that from Adam on Twitter, who was there that day, allegedly.
Yeah, like so we have all that. Then we have the fact that they're suing the Hornets in this, which we're going to find out real quick, because I guarantee you that security cam footage is going to come out and we're going to find out who was negligent and who was not, because discovery is a real thing. I am very comfortable sitting in the space of I don't know. But the biggest thing I have right now is I do not feel comfortable with the way and the fervor of we're going to blame LaMelo, and we are going to come down hard on him, and we're going to assume some sort of criminality or bad behavior or just random douchebaggery for like the worst word to use. But at this point, like, I just don't feel comfortable assigning a label to any of this, because there's a lot of this that feels very, very murky. And if you go the wrong way with this, you're going to look very, very stupid very, very fast.
Doug, what are your thoughts?
I'm glad he ended there, looking stupid very, very fast. That's my specialty on this show. I think this is an upgrade. I mean, this is a civil action to Nada's point. This is not, there's no criminality involved, and that's a nice change of pace for this organization and the players that play for it. This is a civil action. I think I sense a culture shift here if we're moving from criminal to civil. Hopefully we can eventually get to just, a brouhaha or something that has
Small
no
claims
legal
court,
action.
maybe something like that.
I don't know, something, Look, I'm a little bit mad at everybody in this story. Like, LaMelo Ball doesn't need this right now in terms of like PR. The Hornets don't need this with everything else that's happened. Okay, look, if there were barricades, even if I take all of that, there need to be more. There's got to be more. We got to do something else if this is what's going to happen. I'm mad at the parents. Like, where are the parents here? Like, get these kids off the street. I'm mad at the kids. What are you doing? Like that. The value of that autograph is not worth getting run over. It's just, all of this is ridiculous. I'm also mad at the Hornets because, like, I don't know, maybe I'm misreading this complaint, and maybe I'm being cynical here, but this doesn't seem like all that much money. Like, it feels like this could have been made to go away, and it happened a long time ago.
So, but the claim but the complaint was not filed until recently, and so that's something that takes place. They didn't know about it because the complaint, although like I don't think so. Here's what happened. Apparently, the lawyer for representing McRae and Angel says that Angel's family would have filed a claim with Ball's insurance to pay his medical bills, but the police report is missing key information like Ball's insurer and even his name. Quote, because that information was not provided, we only have one recourse, and that's the court system, DeBrun said, which is the lawyer representing the family. So,
so that's my thing. Like, if they've tried and failed, and if LaMelo Ball has any responsibility in that, if the Hornets have any responsibility in that, then that's what I'm most frustrated by. This should have been made, handled, gone away, no headlines, if at all possible. Okay, I'm leaving myself open to that there was just some other shenanigans or something else, and this I don't know. Maybe this person wanted more, and I don't know what the situation is. But if the Hornets or LaMelo could have made this go away and decided for whatever reason not to, then they're silly for that, because there have been so many other bad headlines that they should have made this go away. And I also say that, like, if we didn't have footage of LaMelo Ball, tearing bleep out of the arena and running red lights and all this stuff that we went, haha, look at this young kid, being a young kid. Now when you pair all that together, this does look like maybe a pattern. And so that is, and also I'll say, like, longtime Hornets fans have, well, first of all, short-term Hornets fans have trauma from just all of the courtroom drama that we've had, but also long-time Hornets fans have some trauma that relates back to Bobby Phills and fast cars and reckless driving, and it cost someone their life. And so, all of that I think is baked into fan reaction to this.
All right, let's move on. Let's come back to it. There are still more thoughts to share. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
We'll continue to talk about the LaMelo Ball situation and some of our thoughts if we need to finish up on some of them here in the next segment here on Hornets. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team for faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. And LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. It's so easy, folks. Just go to LinkedIn Jobs and you yourself can be successful, as many small businesses are. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. More Locked On Hornets coming up next. I already talked about a lot of the LaMelo Ball stuff on Wes and Walker earlier today. Perhaps you've seen a clip of myself sharing my thoughts on LaMelo, and my buddy, my brother, my co-host, Wes Bryant, did not include a lot of the other content that I had to say that actually defended LaMelo in this situation. Instead, a lot of and he shared a rather strong take about LaMelo where he said he was done with him and that he was immature. And so that's Wes's take. Great sports radio takery. That is our profession. That's what he decided to go with, and that's fine. I did not go that route, but that's not necessarily what's represented in the video that's circulating on social media. Before I clarify it, Doug, it feels like you need to say something.
Well, I mean, it's not an entirely unfair take because I don't know that we have.
I'll get to that.
We don't have a lot that exists to counter it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was talking about in that segment. Like, we have a lot of footage of him, looking like he is a little reckless in that vehicle movie. And maybe there are reasons for that. Maybe he doesn't want to get swarmed. But still, we don't have a lot of evidence in the contrary. So I think and he is due to be making a lot of money for this organization. So it actually matters if his maturity level actually matters.
Yeah, make of his take what you want to. That's fine. I'm not done with LaMelo. You're right about this. The fact that there is a montage of reckless driving from LaMelo exiting the employee entrance out of Spectrum Center and running through red lights, driving fast, not caring. We've seen it multiple times. I'm not saying there's one clip. I'm saying there is a montage of clips of him driving recklessly right outside of Spectrum Center. And because that exists, that's a real problem. That we know. What we don't know is exactly what happened in the incident alleged here of LaMelo. In the writing, they lay it on pretty thick to demonstrate what they're complaining about. But the line of LaMelo looking directly into the kid's face, that's in the complaint. That's not even just, okay, this is what they said. No, that is quote. That is verbatim in the complaint. Looks him directly in the face before he speeds off. Yeah, the complaint is laying it on pretty thick here. And so the fact that you're right, Doug, there's lots of people to be angry with. Lots of people, including the parents and the children, they're 11 and 12-year-olds. What am I supposed to do? Okay? No, they shouldn't be in the street looking for an autograph. And the other thing is with people blaming LaMelo, I actually defend LaMelo in this. If you talk to people in public relations, lots of people in PR will tell you that if they are working with a big-time star, they cannot make eye contact with people as they walk out of the arena because if you give fans an inch, they will take a mile. There is no logic to be spoken of if you were to roll down the window in this incident and try to explain to the kids, hey, I'm in an intersection. I don't want to hold off traffic. I also don't want you guys to be in the street in Uptown Charlotte. The kids have already decided they want your autograph and cars be damned. I'm getting it even if it means I might get my foot run over, which in this case it did. So to say that LaMelo should have just rolled down his window, tried to calmly explain to the children and or the parents if there were any to speak of, say, hey, I'll talk to you another time. Thank you for your fandom, whatever.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? Now, LaMelo shouldn't have driven off if there was a risk of a child being harmed. That's true too. But I'm not saying that LaMelo is 100% at fault here. He shouldn't be driving recklessly or somebody might get seriously hurt, and looks like somebody might have. I don't know. But what happens is LaMelo has a montage of bad driving clips, and now we have an incident of kids going in the street looking for an autograph. Lots of blame to roll around, and it's frustrating to be talking about another off-court incident.
Yeah, no, this is getting old, but what I'm really fearing is that we're probably seeing the end of the purple and teal scrimmage. We're probably going to see a lot of this just to reduce liability on this, and it sucks all around. And the only people that lose out of this are fans. But the biggest thing, and it's the thing that I disagree with your radio co-host the most with, is this is starting to be a pattern where we're ramping up to where this starts to become a public opinion to where he either leaves or he feels forced out. And I don't like it's one thing to hold an athlete accountable in the media. It's a whole other thing to start ramping these things up to where we dislike this athlete, and this athlete might or might not have made a mistake. We don't know. But the discourse ramping up just only creates a hostile environment and a hostile relationship with LaMelo Ball in the city. I don't think I like the way this is headed.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get any response from LaMelo after all of this. I mean, obviously, there's going to be no talking while there is a civil action, so I don't think it's coming anytime soon. But some kind of response. We haven't typically gotten really good responses to any of these kinds of things that have happened around the Charlotte Hornets, and that allows a vacuum of people to make all of their own opinions. I do agree with you, Walker. Fans are insane. I mean, fan is a shortened version of fanatic. And I don't know what happens to people when they get around players and you double that with kids, because kids don't have any sense anyway. And so, but even adults act like this. That's the strangest thing. But I see, when you go to the arena, the people that line up on the tunnel, I mean, there's some people that are like hanging halfway off the tunnel to get, a dirty towel, and they're risking paralyzation from falling. It is insane. And so, yes, anyone who's sitting here thinking, why didn't he just stop and sign the kid's thing? You just have to understand that is the last thing that you want to do in that scenario. But the Hornets have to figure this out. Whatever security they had, they got to double it. Like, you got to protect your player in this situation and not have this happen.
Can I tell you a real story about how crazy fans are?
I love it.
At the last home game, the Dallas Mavericks visited the Hornets and played at the Spectrum Center. Daniel Gafford had a great game. He dunked everything. It was really a showcase, highlight film type of game from Daniel Gafford. So he's late to go in the locker room because everybody wants to talk to him. So Daniel Gafford, being the last one to go through the tunnel, takes his headband off. I forget what it is. Something sweaty he takes off.
Something gross, something smelly.
Throws it to a fan who makes a nice catch, takes it, and a reaction time, not even thinking about it.
Oh my God. Just takes a big whiff, face into because for the listener there, you just put your face into what was the headband and really sort of motorboated it almost with your nose.
And I promise you, none of this is hyperbole. That's a real thing that happened. I saw it. I almost, yes, you can. I just want to say, because I don't believe in snitchery out here in the streets, I did not put out a photo of that said girl who did that. But
what? Wait, hold on.
Yep. Go ahead.
Because I was gonna ask at first the ethnicity of this fan. I have a feeling I know now. Thank you for revealing that.
There you go. There's the information. Do with it what you please. Maybe we get into some more LaMelo stuff on the other side. Maybe we don't. You're gonna have to stay tuned.
I love another one of those type of stories. That was great. I love that story.
That's a true story. Like, nothing fabricated whatsoever. True. And I was baffled by it. Coming up
Yummy.
next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
We have more to get to. I think Doug drops a mock draft in here somewhere if you're staying with us. It's coming up
I have
next.
to. I'm obligated.
Yeah.
I want to keep talking about LaMelo, but I'm obligated by law. I don't want anyone to take a civil action against this show for me breaking a promise. I've got to get a mock draft.
Yeah, we can't do it. All right. It's still to come. Locked On Hornets. Before we get to the last segment, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We all carry around different stressors, whether it's big or small. When we keep them bottled up, it can start to affect us negatively. Therapy is a safe space to get things off of your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever is weighing you down. If you're thinking of starting therapy, then give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists anytime for no additional charge if you want to. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, before we get to the mock draft, I know maybe some of you want us to give you more nasty Daniel Gafford stories, and some of us want mock drafts. I get it. I did want to read a little bit more on the LaMelo stuff. So in the official complaint, the document that's out there, I did want to say that in points 21 and 22, before we get to the second claim. That's right. That's right. That's right. It's all ridiculous. Point 22 here is that as a direct and proximate result of the aforesaid negligence of defendant Ball, the minor plaintiff has sustained injuries and damages to his person in a sum greater than $25,000. 22, that is a direct and proximate result of the aforesaid negligence of defendant Ball. The plaintiff has sustained injuries and damages in a sum greater than $25,000. Basically, what it means is that they're looking for $25,000 based off of the damages that they suffered, which goes to your point, Doug. This is something that could be easily taken care of by just handing over $25K, whether it's from the Hornets, billion-dollar organization, or LaMelo, $200 million man with it kicking in this year. Seems relatively like a small amount of money to just fork over.
That's what I'm saying. I just can't believe, and if I'm proven wrong on this, fine, but I just can't believe that the Hornets or LaMelo didn't get some kind of thing that said, give me $25,000 and I'll shut up. And if they said no to that, I just don't understand it. Right. LaMelo probably had that in the trunk of his car. I mean, he's about to make a bajillion dollars from the Charlotte Hornets. I've given the Charlotte Hornets $25,000 in hat sales. They could have just given the kid my $25,000 that I've spent on Charlotte Hornets hat. This is ridiculous. It's chump change. And the Hornets, as an organization, once again, they end up looking like the chumps.
So not like for me, this isn't reminiscent of you walking outside of Taco Bell, tripping over the sidewalk, and then suing Taco Bell for $1 million because they were the reason you got hurt. Yeah. To me, if you say, okay, just give them $1 million, Taco Bell can afford it. Well, all right, now you're starting to set a precedent where anybody can just take advantage of you. And because they don't want to go through this process, then you just throw them the $1 million. That's not this. I really hope that LaMelo isn't running over any children's foot anymore. So if this is a one-off, which please God, I hope it is, just give the $25K, and it's not going to set some precedent. Hey, if we just run out in front of LaMelo and get our foot run over, we can get $25K too. So all of that speaks true to what Doug was saying.
I love the idea of an epidemic of teens just thrusting themselves in front of the Spectrum Center, hoping to be hit. This actually happens in China. There is an epidemic of people, like their videos. You can look these videos up of people that walk out into intersections and they're trying to get hits so that they can collect money. This is hopefully, you don't want to set that kind of precedent.
But at the same time, if all this took was $25K, and like something about that, I don't want to go like this is the whole malfeasance thing and everything. Something about this doesn't smell right, because if all you were asking for $25K was for $25K and no one paid it, like this feels like
this smells like Danny Gafford's headband.
Worse, much worse. But like that's the thing. It doesn't something about it doesn't feel right because if you went through all this and then you're asking for is $25K, then like it doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up. It feels
and I'm totally with
100%.
you, but I'm also with all of the fans that are just like, I'm tired of this bleep. I'm exhausted by why does this keep happening to players that wear purple and teal? You're not hearing these stories happening to Dallas or to Indiana or to all of these mid-market teams that are in the playoffs right now. They manage to stay out of trouble. And again, this is Charlotte. This is not New York. This is not LA. This is Charlotte, North Carolina. And LaMelo has problems getting out of the arena and runs over a kid's foot. Like, this is absurd to me. I'm hot. And, get Wes over here to take a video of me and put it online because I'm hot.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I'm tired of it. I just want to talk about basketball. I want to do mock drafts. I'm tired of talking about this.
All right, let's
let him do his mock draft. He's getting mad. He's getting
Yep, you're right, Nada. Thank you. Let's give Doug his bone. One more mock draft. What a show, man. What a show. All right, what's your mock draft you have, Doug?
This is from ESPN.com. Jonathan Phony Gavoni and Jeremy Woo, who I don't have a problem with at all. He's been on the show. He's a friend of the show. We'd like to have him back on the show. No problem. No nicknames for Woo.
But if you mess up, Jeremy Boo is right there, and we will go to it. So don't mess up, Jeremy. Don't
Watch
mess
it,
up.
Woo. But also, please come back on the show. And actually, please. Woo made the pick here, or at least did the blurb. And so I'm going to scroll all the way down to 6. The Charlotte Hornets select, get this, Donovan Clingan makes his way down, shuffles down to the number 6 pick. Woo writes, after immensely boosting his stock with dominant play in March, Clingan looks ready to contribute as a long-term defensive anchor, best suited to drop coverage and using his size to wall off angles in the paint. He has been aiming to showcase skill potential in three-point range and workout settings, helping teams envision offensive upside and versatility, and has earned looks at the very top of the draft.
Donovan Clingan is still somebody you're very high on, correct?
Yes, I am. But I have two things. One, I don't think Clingan's going to be there. I'm going to continue to say this to anyone that will listen to me. Clingan will not be there at 6. If he's there at 6 and Castle's there, I'm not sure that they're drafting Clingan in that instance either. I'm pretty sure they're going to draft Stephon Castle. The one thing that I'm starting to worry about is everyone that's going with this Brook Lopez narrative, and I've been guilty of doing it too every now and again, but I don't see Brook Lopez the shooter right now. If you told me he's maybe Diet Marc Gasol, like, I'm okay with that. Like, you should be okay with a guy that just patrols the rim, doesn't really hit threes, because his free throw percentage was 55%. That's not going to show you it. Like, I don't think the three-point shot is ever going to be there with Donovan Clingan. What you're drafting him for specifically is because he is a 7-foot guy that can switch on the pick and roll and disrupt everything you want to do in terms of pick and roll offense. That's why you draft him. You draft him for the defensive end. Anything on offense is gravy right now.
What do you think, Doug?
Well, I think if he looks like Brook Lopez, like right now in terms of his three-point shooting, if he looks like that in individual workouts, then I agree with you, Nada. He's not going to be there at 6. You kind of almost, if you want Clingan in Charlotte, you need him to go into these workouts and clank a little bit from 3. Because I think he'll be too enticing. But in this mock draft, they've got Reed Shepherd going 3rd to Houston and Rob Dillingham to the Spurs at 4. And that's also what you need to happen. You need to have some of these small guards. You need to have these teams above the Hornets fall in love with some of these small guards in order for Clingan and Castle. Castle moves all the way down to 10. Maybe they're taking into account some of that point guard talk that could possibly hurt Castle's draft stock, as teams are wanting to kind of shy away from that if they've already got a point guard that they're developing. But you have to have all of that in play for Clingan to be available. But I don't really care how he shoots. I would love that pick for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, useful player without the perimeter shot. Last thing, and I hear what you're saying, Nada. There's probably more scenarios where he's not on the team than there are scenarios where he is on the team, even taking into account, of course, 1 out of 6 shot with some of these guys that are going to be taken. You bring up Brook Lopez. I think that comparison comes from the fact that Brook Lopez himself was not a great shooter coming out and did not embark on that at the beginning of his career. I equated this to, are we doing the Walker Kessler thing? Is this where we're doing the fake shooting where, hey, Roy Williams, I promise he can shoot if you just let him. And Roy said, no, thank you. We're not going to. We're going to put the shot blocker next to the rim. So then he goes to Auburn and shoots terribly. And then he goes to the NBA and shoots terribly, both from the 3-point line and the free throw line. Is that Clingan, or are we looking at a potential Brook Lopez situation? That's what I want to know. And to me, it feels a lot like Kessler, Nada. Right?
Well, also, I think we're a lot closer to Walker Kessler.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, honestly, we're closer to Walker Kessler. And remember, Walker Kessler didn't play a lot this year. Why? Because Will Hardy likes to play 5 out. That's the reason why why he's not really playing until he gets his 3-point shot up. I really think this is closer to Walker Kessler, and Walker Kessler's fine as long as you understand you're never going to really play 5 out. You might play 4.5 out. He may be a guy that you do a lot of screen and rolls with, but this 3-point shot, I'm not sure why everybody's so reliant on that actually developing.
And I've seen Clingan. I could give you a mock draft right now that has Clingan as the number 2 overall pick, at number 3, number 4. I mean, these things are all over the place. I wouldn't even take this mock having him at 6 as Clingan falling in the draft, although I do think that, he's not getting past Charlotte. If Clingan is available, and I think even Wu writes here, Charlotte looks like a soft landing spot. I think if he does fall, I don't think he falls beyond 6, but I don't even until these workouts happen, these individual workouts, and we can get some solid intel from some of these teams that are there that would dare leak it. I just don't think we have any idea where these guys are going to land.
No, we don't. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Locked On Hornets. There's Doug Branson, Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. He's texting via subtext again. Subs all over the place. I'm Walker Mail. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3. You can also see clips go out on our Twitter profile at Wes and Walker. And there's Nada. He's going to be joining us again because, he's got some free time. Find him on Twitter at Nada the Scribe. Have a great rest of your day. We'll all be back with you again tomorrow.
Bye-bye.